The Colts made a flurry of roster moves today on Monday following the preseason game this weekend against the Arizona Cardinals. And while some are surprising, there's definitely a couple that warrant much more attention than others. All that and more on this video. What's going on? It's Elijah from Sports Talk Indy, where we cover all things Colts every single day. And if you haven't yet subscribed to become a part of this community and stay up to date on all things Colts going on, as the season begins, we are just 20 short days from being at the opening kickoff for the NFL season against the Houston Texans. And the Colts played the last game at Lucas Oil Stadium until that home opener against Houston. But if you're not a part of this community yet, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you can be up to date on all things Colts going on. Like I said, we're covering news every single day. But today we're talking about roster moves. The Colts made a series of roster moves. Again, some not surprising, some more surprising. And during the season, you would normally see these moves being made on Tuesday. But because the game was on Saturday, the Colts were able to make all these moves on Monday. I'm not sure if there's an official time. I think it's the week beginning. But with preseason, that's kind of more fluid because of the expanded rosters. Neither here nor there. Regardless, Monday, the Colts made some signings and made some big signings. And the first one that they made is they activated Ranshad Davis, defensive tackle, who we signed from the Miami Dolphins to a 2-year, $14 million contract. Now, Ranshad Davis has been out for the entirety of the summer so far with blood pressure issues, which is not a normal injury that you often see in the NFL, but it is one that obviously warrants quite a bit of concern. Anytime that you see anything with the heart and with the blood pressure and with all of that, and you're dealing with guys who, as Zaire Franklin put it so delicately, have 18 straight weeks of car crashes, it's definitely something that warrants quite a bit of caution. And the Colts have a fair amount of depth in this position, especially with Tavon Bryan really having a good game the other day. You have Lealu, who's one of the Colts draft picks this year, again showing quite a bit of really good. And Isaiah Land, not a defensive tackle, but a guy who's really been impressing. But Ranshad Davis, finally active. He's making his summer debut, so he's not been a part of any training camp so far, so he is active today for the start of practice, and we will see how he's doing, if he's made a full recovery or if he's just cleared for low contact and all that stuff. So Ranshad Davis has been signed. The first one, or has not been signed, but activated. The first one that I want to talk about is that the Colts have waived Josh Sills. Now, if you watched the game on Saturday, which I don't blame you if you don't, it's preseason and none of the starters were playing, but if you did watch the game, you likely noticed that Josh Sills was absolutely getting his lunch handed to him. Was really struggling off the line at guard, and they kind of tried to give him a little help, kind of moved him around a little bit. It didn't work. Josh Sills looked really bad, and in fact was so bad that PFF gave him a whopping 0.0 grade as far as offensive line blocking. Now, it's tough to grade offensive line, but clearly he underperformed and really had trouble, and so the Colts have officially waived him. They have signed a very intriguing player from the UFL. Now, we're going to talk, this is the main part of our video today, we were talking about this specific player because I think this is the most interesting thing the Colts have done. We've talked about who are they going to sign? Are they going to make any big signings? And their first signing that's not Ranshad Davis or Joe Flacco is Mike Panaswick. And I'm probably mispronouncing that last name, but believe it or not, this guy hasn't played in the NFL yet. Mike Panaswick was a former Big Ten All-Pro defensive lineman who converted to offensive line. He went to Michigan State, and then last year played 10 games for the Battlehawks, for the St. Louis Battlehawks. He worked out for the Denver Broncos earlier this week. He started 10 games last season at center, earning all UFL honors. He's a former All Big Ten defensive lineman for the Michigan State Spartans. And he did have an NFL stint with the Carolina Panthers. Excuse me, I was wrong. He did have an NFL stint with the Carolina Panthers. The Colts have interior offensive linemen who are a bit banged up from Saturday's win, including rookie Tanner Bortolini and Josh Sills. Obviously, now we know that Josh Sills has been waived. So Panaswick could be a late pickup to get the team depth-wise through their final road joint training camp practices and preseason game against the Cincinnati Bengals. So that's the big one that we're talking about is this Mike Panaswick guy. And honestly, I think this is a fun pickup because you get a guy who's played both sides of the line, who clearly has at least enough experience. I mean, the UFL is it's nothing to laugh at, no joke. I definitely think that if you're winning all UFL honors, it's a good guy to have around, and he's only 26 years old. So he did have a short stint with the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, was doing really well with Michigan State, and then yeah, had 10 games last year with the St. Louis Battlehawks. So I think this is a good pickup. This adds some depth in a position. Matt Gonzalez really struggled this weekend and was hurt, and then Tanner Mortellini obviously getting hurt. Tanner Mortellini right now on the roster is the backup center, and obviously played both guard and center. Matt Gonzalez plays tackle guard, can really move around quite a bit. Those two guys are the guys that I think the Colts are putting a lot of weight into, and so they want to make sure that they're both healthy and able to continue playing and play at a good level. So I definitely think this is a good pickup, and maybe he doesn't make the final 53. Maybe he just goes to the practice squad, or maybe he doesn't make either. But I think this is a good pickup, and honestly, you just watch this guy's highlights, and he's fun to watch. He's another guy kind of like Matt Gonzalez, where he's just an animal. Just loves to get out there, loves to be out there, and it's fun to watch. Anytime you can get a guy like that on the football field, I love it. I'm a huge fan of that. I'm a huge fan of that sort of style of play. So definitely, I think a good pickup by the Indianapolis Colts. There's a couple more moves that I want to talk about before we end our video today. But they also placed center Ryan Call on injured reserved. And then they signed Mike Smith Jr., who is a linebacker. So they added a little bit of depth. There's not a lot of note on Mike Smith Jr. I think this is just kind of a practice squad. They're kind of moving some guys around to see what that looks like. But like I said, I think that this is a good thing. And the big news, obviously, is that Ranshad Davis is officially back. I think there was a lot of concern. James Boyd had him potentially on the outside looking in of the 53-man roster because of not being able to be a part of the training or any of the training camp and the preseason. So I definitely think there was a lot of concern there, but I love this. And honestly, David adds some much needed run defense to help the interior of the offensive or the Colts defensive line at 6'7", 325. Davis is a monster. If you watch the preseason game this weekend, there was a interview that Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner had with Laura Overton, and they just towered over her. I mean, these are two absolutely monster guys, and I think that when you add guys like that, guys who are just absolutely towers, Ranshad Davis, Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, when you add guys like that to your defensive line, it allows for a lot more attention to have to be placed on them for guys like Leatu Latu and Kwity Paye, Deo Adeyingbo, and really all of these, and really Tyquan Lewis looks good. Again, Isaiah Land, I cannot talk enough about how impressed I have been with Isaiah Land, who the Colts got off of waivers from the Dallas Cowboys. Land looks really good, and I would be very disappointed if he doesn't make the final 53. One more thing I want to make of note is that they've officially taken the or off of Nick Cross at free safety, so he is officially the starting free safety for the Indianapolis Colts. We'll cover that in more depth on the next video, but for now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.